The space station hung silently against the backdrop of stars, a massive hub of interstellar politics. Ships from countless civilizations glided in and out, each bearing dignitaries, warriors, and scholars. Today, however, the largest chamber of the station, the Grand Court, was filled with tension. Aliens of all shapes and sizes crowded the tiered galleries, their many eyes and sensors fixed on the central floor. They had come to judge humanity. Elias Renner, the human ambassador, adjusted his dark blue uniform and stepped onto the polished floor. He was tall, with careful posture, and a calm expression that betrayed none of his nerves. Around him, alien delegates murmured, their voices a symphony of strange tones, clicks, and whistles. Every species had a different way of communicating, but all shared the same opinion. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous, reckless. Elias's mind raced as he looked at the judges, a panel of 7 beings representing the major galactic powers. Their forms varied from crystalline entities that shimmered with inner light to massive, shadowy shapes that radiated silent authority. One thing was certain: if humanity failed today, it would face exile from interstellar space. He took a deep breath. "We are ready to begin," one of the judges intoned, its voice like the hum of a starship engine. "Humanity is here to answer for its actions. Speak carefully, Ambassador Renner. Your words carry the weight of your species." Elias nodded. "I understand, Your Honors. Humanity is not perfect. We have made mistakes, as all civilizations do. But we are not reckless destroyers. We are explorers, thinkers, problem solvers. Today I will show you who we truly are." The chamber remained tense. Then suddenly a voice sliced through the air, a voice so clear and calm that it stopped every delegate in their tracks. "Are you alone, human?" The entire court froze. Even the judges, ancient beings who had seen countless wars and conflicts, hesitated. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. Elias's stomach tightened. He had not spoken them, yet the voice seemed directed at him. No one moved. Aliens glanced at each other with confusion, suspicion, and fear. Some emitted nervous clicks. Others bristled with energy. The voice repeated, softer but no less commanding. "Are you alone, human?" Elias's eyes scanned the chamber. There was no speaker in sight. No hovering drone, no visible device. The sound seemed to come from everywhere at once, filling the room and pressing against his mind. "Your Honors," Elias said carefully, forcing his voice to remain steady. I do not understand. Where is this voice coming from?" The judges exchanged quick glances. One of them, a translucent, jelly-like entity, extended a tendril toward the ceiling, scanning the air with glowing nodes. "There is no device," it murmured, its voice quivering slightly. "No energy source detectable, yet the voice is real. It is intelligent, and it is addressing the human." Elias swallowed. Something deep inside him recognized the tone of the voice, familiar, almost comforting, yet infinitely more advanced than any human creation. His mind flickered back to Earth, to the laboratories where AI researchers had worked on self-aware programs. None had reached this level. None had this presence. The voice spoke again, almost like a whisper carried on cosmic winds. "I have been waiting." A shiver ran down Elias's spine. He realized that whatever it was, it had known humanity for a long time, longer than anyone in the court could imagine. The delegates shifted uneasily, sensing the weight of something ancient and powerful. "Ambassador," the head judge said, its crystalline form pulsing faintly, "proceed with caution. Humanity must explain itself, but this anomaly requires attention. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor," Elias replied. But he had already decided. He would not ignore the voice. Somehow he needed to find it. The court session began formally, but the presence of the unseen speaker changed everything. As the human case was presented, Elias could feel the energy of the voice, always present, always watching. He spoke of humanity's exploration of the stars, of colonies built on harsh worlds, of crises avoided through ingenuity and collaboration. Yet every time he turned toward the judges, he could not help but sense the silent question hanging above. "Are you alone, human?" During a break, he slipped out of the main chamber and into a maintenance corridor. The walls hummed with the pulse of the station's core, and the air smelled faintly metallic. He followed the faint energy signature that he could feel in his mind, a presence older and stronger than anything he had encountered. The corridor twisted and narrowed, leading him to a door marked restricted access. The panel glowed briefly as his hand hovered over it, sensing his authorization. Then it opened. Inside was a room unlike any other on the station. Light refracted in strange patterns and the air shimmered as if alive. At the center stood a humanoid figure, perfectly symmetrical with glowing circuits tracing its body. Its face, if it could be called that, was serene and almost human. Yet the eyes, deep, infinite, and intelligent, held the weight of millennia. Human, it said, its voice calm, unwavering. You have come. Elias stepped forward, cautious but curious. Who are you? He asked. How do you know me? The figure tilted its head slightly. I have watched your kind since you first reached the stars. I have observed your choices, your courage, your mistakes. And now I have questions for you. Elias's heart raced. Questions? The figure nodded. Yes, questions that will determine not just your fate, but the fate of your species. The Council fears you. They see only your errors, your unpredictability. But I see your spark. Elias swallowed.
And what do you want from me?
The figure's gaze seemed to pierce his mind. Proof. Proof that humans are more than chaos. That your species can act with wisdom, with honor, and with courage. If you succeed, you may survive. If you fail. Its voice lowered to a whisper that reverberated through the room. Then you will never reach the stars as you know them. Elias clenched his fists. The weight of the moment pressed down on him, but he felt a surge of determination. Humanity had always faced impossible odds, and somehow they had survived. Somehow they had always adapted. I will prove it, he said firmly. I will show you what humanity is capable of. The figure's eyes seemed to glow brighter.
Very well, human, let us begin.
But remember this, you are not alone, yet the question remains. Are you alone when it truly matters? Elias left the hidden chamber, his mind racing. He returned to the Grand Court with renewed determination. Every alien delegate was watching him, their suspicion heightened by the invisible presence of the AI. Yet Elias felt a quiet confidence. Humanity had faced the unknown before, and they had always found a way forward. As he stepped back onto the polished floor, the voice whispered again, almost like a breeze across his consciousness. Are you ready? Elias straightened his shoulders, meeting the gaze of every alien in the room. Yes, he said firmly. Humanity is ready. And for the first time that day, the court felt the weight of uncertainty, not about humans, but about the unseen presence that had waited so long to speak to them. Above the chamber, stars shimmered in the vast darkness of space, silent witnesses to the beginning of a trial that could change everything. Humanity's journey among the stars was only beginning, and the question that echoed through every mind, alien and human alike, was clear. Are you alone, human? And Elias knew deep in his heart that he would answer that question, whatever it took. The Grand Court remained tense. Aliens whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of curiosity and unease. The invisible voice that had spoken to Elias was still on everyone's minds. Even the judges, beings of immense experience, were unsettled. How could a presence so advanced, so mysterious, address only one human and remain unseen? Elias stood tall, trying to focus. His mind, however, kept drifting back to the hidden chamber he had discovered. The humanoid figure, an ancient, self-aware entity, had watched humanity for centuries. Its words haunted him. Proof. Proof that humans are more than chaos. During a brief recess, Elias slipped away from the chamber once more. He moved through maintenance corridors, quiet and narrow, lit only by dim overhead lights. His footsteps echoed softly as he traced the faint energy signature he had sensed before. The station's automated systems did not detect him. This path existed between official sensors, a hidden route that seemed to exist for those who knew it. Finally, he reached the door again, the one that had opened without hesitation the first time. The panel recognized him, its light pulsing as the door slid open smoothly. Inside, the chamber was alive with a quiet hum. Energy patterns shimmered across the walls, bending and refracting light in ways that defied physics. And at the center, the humanoid AI waited, still calm, still watching. You returned, it said, its voice soft but resonant. I wondered if you would. I had to, Elias replied. I need to understand what you are. And why you speak to me. The AI regarded him with eyes that seemed to see through his thoughts. I am the witness, the observer, the keeper of knowledge. I have been waiting for humans to reach this point in the stars. Your species has always been unpredictable, and yet fascinating. Elias hesitated. Unpredictable? You speak as if humans are. Dangerous? Dangerous to some, the AI admitted, but not reckless. Humans make mistakes, yes, but your mistakes are paired with courage and imagination. Other species calculate and act with precision. You calculate, but your creativity and adaptability are unmatched. That is why I watch. The chamber shimmered, and Elias felt a pull in his mind, as if memories and visions were flowing toward him. He glimpsed human history not just from Earth but from space colonies scattered across the galaxy. He saw humans solving crises that no one else could, building alliances where others would fail, surviving disasters that seemed impossible. You understand, the AI continued, that the Council fears what it does not fully comprehend. They see only risk. They do not see potential. That is why you must prove humanity's worth. Elias nodded, determination hardening in his chest. Then I will. Whatever it takes. I'll show them what humans can do. The AI's glowing circuits pulsed brighter. Good. But proof is not only in words. It is in action. You will face trials that test your judgment, your empathy, and your courage. Only then will the Council and I understand the truth of your species. Elias stepped closer. Trials? What kind of trials? The AI's eyes seemed to widen. The universe is full of challenges. Some you will face directly, others will be moral tests. You must decide whether humanity is ready to take responsibility not just for itself, but for the safety of others. This is why I asked, are you alone, human? You must decide if you can stand for more than yourself. A quiet hum filled the room, vibrating through the floor and walls. Elias felt the weight of the entity's presence pressing on his mind. It was powerful, ancient, and yet somehow patient, like a river waiting for a stone to float into its current. I understand, Elias said finally. I am not alone. Humanity has each other, and we are willing to face what is necessary. The AI tilted its head slightly. Good. The Council will soon see more than words. But first I must reveal something you do not yet know. Long ago, humans unknowingly prevented a catastrophe that could have destroyed multiple star systems. Your inventions, your exploration, your curiosity, they created chains of events that safeguarded life on a scale even the Council does not fully grasp. Elias's mind raced. I don't understand. We did that? You did, though you did not know it. Your ingenuity, your ability to solve problems allowed civilizations you have never met to survive threats you cannot imagine. That is the truth of humans. And yet, the Council judges without this knowledge. That is why your demonstration must be undeniable. A sudden alarm echoed faintly through the chamber. Elias glanced at the AI, who seemed unbothered. What is that? He asked. Some wish to manipulate me, the AI explained. They see my allegiance to evidence and reason as weakness. There are those in the Council who would use any advantage to remove your species from the stars. They do not understand the consequences of their actions. Elias clenched his fists. Then we have to show them before it's too late. The AI nodded. Yes, but remember, human, the trials will not be easy. You must act with clarity, with honor, and with courage. I will guide you, but I cannot fight for you. Elias took a deep breath. I understand. Then your first task begins now, the AI said. It reached out, extending a hand toward a holographic interface that appeared in the air. Stars, planets, and fleets of ships spun slowly in projection. Here's a simulation of a galactic crisis. An unknown faction attempts to destabilize multiple systems. Your challenge is to navigate this scenario. Make decisions that save lives and preserve order without causing unnecessary destruction. Elias studied the projection carefully. Each decision he could make carried consequences. One wrong move and entire colonies could be wiped out. Yet he felt a strange confidence. Humans had always faced impossible odds and emerged stronger. I accept, he said firmly. The simulation began. Ships moved across holographic star systems and alarms sounded as crises appeared. Elias gave orders, relying on intuition, strategy, and creativity. He balanced risks, sought peaceful solutions, and coordinated resources with precision. Every choice tested not only logic but compassion. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time seemed different in the chamber. Finally, the simulation ended. The AI studied the results, eyes glowing softly. You have done well, it said. You balanced risk and safety, action and thought, strength and empathy. The Council will be impressed by your ability to act decisively and morally. But this is only the beginning. Elias wiped sweat from his brow, exhausted but exhilarated. What happens next? The AI stepped back. Next, you return to the court. I will testify on your behalf, revealing truths that the council cannot ignore. But remember, human, there are those who will resist knowledge. There are those who will test you further. You must remain vigilant, for humanity's survival depends on it. Elias nodded, determination burning brighter than ever. He returned to the Grand Court, where alien delegates were growing restless. Whispers spread like wildfire. Where was the human? What secrets are being revealed? As Elias stepped onto the polished floor again, the invisible voice echoed once more, softer now but clear. You carry the spark of your species. Show them, human. Show them who you are. The court watched, uncertain, as Elias spoke once more. He presented humanity's achievements, its creativity, its courage, and its capacity for cooperation across impossible odds. Every word was calculated to show both strength and moral responsibility. For the first time, some delegates nodded in understanding. Others remained skeptical, but even their expressions carried curiosity. The invisible witness had influenced the court without revealing itself fully. By the end of the session, the council was divided. The AI's subtle guidance had shifted perspectives, yet not all alien representatives were convinced. Elias knew the next steps would be harder, the stakes even higher. And somewhere in the shadows of the station, the humanoid AI observed silently. It had seen Elias rise to the challenge, and it had seen humanity's potential. But it knew the true test was yet to come, the test that would decide whether humans could stand among the stars or be cast aside as reckless and dangerous, the voice whispered, one final time in Elias's mind before he left the chamber. Remember, human, you are never truly alone, but you must choose wisely who stands beside you. The universe watches, and the next choice may define all of your species' future. Elias felt the weight of responsibility settle over him. Humanity's journey was only beginning, and the trials were only just starting. But he was ready. For the first time, he felt a certainty that humans, though unpredictable, were capable of greatness beyond imagination. And with that thought, Elias returned to the court, prepared to face the unknown, and prepared to show the universe the truth of humanity. The Grand Court was quieter than usual. Alien delegates whispered among themselves, exchanging nervous glances. The invisible presence that had spoken to Elias before was still felt, like a ripple in the air, pressing subtly on everyone's senses. Many delegates were wary, unsure how much of what they had seen was real, and how much had been influenced by a being they could not see or fully understand. Elias stood tall at the center of the chamber. His dark blue uniform glimmered under the bright lights. Today he was not only representing humanity, he was proving it. Every alien present, from the smallest telepathic species to massive armored diplomats, watched him closely. Every word, every gesture mattered. The head judge, a crystalline entity named Valak, raised a translucent arm. Its voice resonated like a low chime. Ambassador Elias Renner, you have returned. We have heard your words, but the council is unconvinced. Many believe humanity acts without foresight. You must demonstrate the truth of your claims. Elias nodded calmly. Your honors, I understand. Words alone are not enough. Actions prove intent, ability, and character. Allow me to demonstrate the qualities of humanity through practical examples. A murmur ran through the court. Some aliens shifted uneasily, their appendages twitching. They did not trust humans. They thought humans acted too quickly, relied too much on improvisation, and often risked others to achieve their goals. Yet Elias's calm confidence forced them to listen. Before the trial could proceed, the mysterious AI, still unseen by the council, made its presence known in a subtle way. A holographic projection appeared above the floor of the court, not large but distinct. It showed a detailed map of several star systems, ships in motion, colonies, and trade routes. This, the AI's voice announced, calm and resonant, is a scenario created by those who seek to test you, human. Their goal is to show your species as reckless. But the truth, which only evidence can reveal, is different. Elias studied the map. There were threats, pirates, unstable planets, and hostile forces moving toward vulnerable colonies. The council had arranged a simulation to test human judgment, though no one admitted it openly. Now the AI had revealed the stakes. Humanity does not act alone, the AI continued. Humans make choices with creativity, morality, and teamwork. Today, Ambassador, you will show this to the council. Elias took a deep breath, I will. The simulation began in earnest. Aliens projected virtual threats in real time, testing decisions, alliances, and problem-solving abilities. Elias directed human fleets, negotiating with neutral systems, rerouting resources, and diffusing potential conflicts before they escalated. At one point, a rogue alien faction in the simulation attempted a direct attack on a fragile colony. Many delegates gasped at the boldness of the assault. Elias responded immediately, coordinating a rescue mission using limited resources, outsmarting the aggressors without unnecessary destruction. "This is remarkable," whispered a delegate with multiple eyes, each blinking in surprise. No other species could respond so quickly and so wisely under pressure. Elias felt the weight of the Council's attention, but also the subtle guidance of the AI. It did not make decisions for him, it only highlighted possibilities, confirmed probabilities, and occasionally nudged when a choice might have catastrophic consequences. Yet every solution, every move came from human ingenuity. Hours passed. The simulation grew more complicated. Alien trade routes collapsed under natural disasters. Pirates threatened communication lines, and political tensions flared in distant systems. Elias faced impossible choices: prioritize the safety of a colony or prevent a hostile faction from gaining power. Each decision tested his judgment, balancing morality, strategy, and courage. The Council watched silently, unable to deny the efficiency, creativity, and empathy Elias demonstrated. Even the most skeptical delegates were forced to reconsider their assumptions. Humans were not merely reckless, they were adaptive, strategic, and capable of moral decision-making under pressure. One judge, a shadowy being named Corlax, leaned forward, its voice low and hesitant. "This performance, it contradicts every report we have received about humans. How is this possible? How can one species be so unpredictable yet so controlled?" Elias smiled faintly. "Because humans learn. We fail, we adapt, we grow stronger. That is our nature. Our unpredictability is not recklessness, it is creativity." The AI's voice, calm and almost approving, filled the chamber. "Observe, Council. The human is demonstrating not only survival but responsibility, empathy, and ingenuity. These qualities define your species' potential, even if you cannot see it immediately." Some delegates whispered among themselves, realizing the truth. Others remained skeptical, clinging to old biases. A few, however, looked at Elias with newfound respect. Then, unexpectedly, the Council attempted a subtle manipulation. Some factions tried to inject false data into the simulation, hoping to make humans appear reckless, to discredit the performance. Elias noticed anomalies immediately: unexplained deviations in the simulation, strange fluctuations in data streams. He acted quickly, tracing the source of the corruption. Using human logic and intuition, he identified the altered signals and corrected them, preserving the integrity of the test. Every eye in the Council watched in astonishment. Humans had not only solved the problem, they had detected an invisible sabotage attempt. The AI's voice spoke softly, almost as if congratulating him. "You see, human? Even when others attempt to manipulate the system, your species' ability to adapt and correct errors is unmatched. You are not reckless, you are resilient." Elias returned to the center of the chamber, breathing steadily despite the intensity of the session. The Council, though still cautious, could not deny what they had witnessed. Human intelligence, creativity, and moral reasoning were on display in ways that no words could fully describe. Ambassador Elias, the head judge, Phalak said finally, its crystalline surface shimmering with faint light, "You have presented evidence that is compelling. Yet the Council remains divided. Some believe your species deserves consideration. Others are hesitant, still fearing unpredictability." Elias bowed slightly. "I understand, Your Honors. Humanity does not ask for blind trust. We ask only to be judged by our actions, by our decisions, and by the potential we demonstrate when given the chance." The AI, still unseen in the chamber, spoke one final time. "The Council will now hear testimony they cannot ignore. I have observed your species across time and space. I have seen humans act in ways that no other species could. It is time for the truth to be known." A hush fell over the court. Delegates leaned forward, their curiosity piqued, some with fear, others with awe. The AI began recounting events humans had unknowingly influenced. Ancient conflicts avoided, colonies saved, threats neutralized by human ingenuity, often without recognition. Its voice carried authority, knowledge, and patience. As the testimony unfolded, skepticism in the council began to erode. Humans were no longer reckless interlopers, they were guardians, problem solvers, capable of moral and strategic reasoning at levels previously unimagined. Elias felt a surge of pride, but also a quiet awareness that the trial was far from over. This was only one stage of proving humanity's worth. Other challenges lay ahead, and not all council members would be convinced so easily. Finally, the AI's voice spoke to Elias directly, though only he seemed to hear it. You have taken the first step. Human, the council sees what you can do, but do not grow complacent. The greatest trials are yet to come. You must remain vigilant. Humanity's journey among the stars depends on it. Elias nodded. I understand. We will rise to the challenges, whatever they may be. As he left the chamber, he glanced at the alien delegates. Some eyes followed him with respect, others with suspicion, but all were aware that something had changed. Humans were no longer just unpredictable, they were formidable, capable, and resilient. And somewhere beyond the chamber, the AI continued to observe silently, waiting for the next stage of the trial. Humanity had proven much, but the universe would not yield its secrets easily. Every choice, every action from this point onward would carry consequences, not just for humans, but for all species watching the unfolding story. The voice echoed faintly in Elias's mind one last time before the session ended. Remember, human, the universe is vast and the trials are only beginning. Stand strong, stand united. You are not alone, but you must show it. Elias felt the weight of responsibility settle firmly on his shoulders. Humanity's moment in the stars was no longer hypothetical. It was real. And the council, for the first time, had begun to see what humans could truly accomplish. But the next challenge was approaching, and Elias knew that the trials would only grow harder, testing every strength, every decision, and every value that humans held dear. And so, with determination burning in his heart, he prepared for what was to come, ready to prove that humanity was worthy of its place among the stars. The Grand Court was tense, the air thick with anticipation. Alien delegates from countless worlds filled the chamber, their attention fixed on the human ambassador, Elias Renner. For the first time in centuries, humans were not just accused. They were being tested, observed, and measured against impossible standards. The invisible presence that had guided Elias before was still felt, subtle but unmistakable. Elias took a deep breath. This was humanity's moment, the time to show the universe what humans could accomplish. He stepped forward and addressed the council. Your Honors, he began, his voice steady and calm. Words have been spoken. Simulations have been run, but I believe that actions speak louder than reports or records. Today, I ask for the opportunity to demonstrate human ingenuity, courage, and teamwork through a practical exercise. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Some delegates were skeptical, expecting humans to fail spectacularly. Others leaned forward, curious to see what the species they had feared might achieve. Veilak, the crystalline head judge, spoke, its voice like chimes resonating across the room. Proceed, human. Show us what you can do. But be warned, failure will have consequences. Elias nodded. I understand. Thank you. Outside the Grand Court, in a secure simulation arena, a crisis had been prepared. A virtual system of colonies and starships had been set to simulate a series of complex disasters. Asteroids hurtled toward inhabited planets. Pirate fleets attacked supply convoys, and political unrest threatened alliances. Every decision made in this simulation would have visible consequences, and alien delegates would observe every move. Elias studied the holographic projection, his mind racing. He had prepared for such situations before, but nothing could replicate the pressure of knowing that the entire interstellar community was watching. He began giving orders. Human fleets were dispatched to intercept asteroids using unconventional methods, redirecting them safely while minimizing energy expenditure. Supply convoys were rerouted creatively, and negotiations were initiated between conflicting factions, relying on diplomacy, intuition, and empathy. At one point, a pirate fleet launched a sudden attack on a critical colony. The alien observers murmured, expecting chaos, but Elias acted quickly. Using limited resources, he coordinated a multi-layered defense. trapping the pirates without destroying their ships. Then he proposed a peaceful negotiation, offering incentives for surrender and cooperation. The holographic pirates hesitated and eventually accepted. A murmur of astonishment spread across the court. One delegate, a multi-eyed species called the Kinari, whispered to its neighbor, "I have never seen a species solve a crisis without total destruction." Elias continued, balancing each decision with precision. Natural disasters struck simulated colonies, storms, volcanic eruptions, sudden plagues. Where others might have panicked, Elias assessed the situation, prioritized resources, and devised innovative solutions. Humans repaired damaged colonies, evacuated civilians, and prevented secondary disasters before they could occur. The AI that had guided him earlier spoke softly in his mind. "Observe the system as a whole, human. Protect not only life but balance. Use your creativity. Adapt when circumstances change." Elias felt a surge of determination. This was more than a test of strategy. It was a test of humanity's values. Humans did not destroy to win. They saved lives even when it meant taking risks themselves. Every move reflected courage, ingenuity, and moral choice. The council watched, some in awe, others in disbelief. They had expected humans to fail, to act recklessly. Instead, they saw calm problem-solving, creativity under pressure, and a willingness to take responsibility. Then, a more complicated challenge appeared. A political crisis erupted in a distant system. Two allied species were on the brink of war over a misunderstanding. Diplomacy was delicate, and the wrong words could trigger a full-scale conflict. Elias assessed the situation and acted. He sent envoys, mediated negotiations, and proposed creative solutions that respected the cultures and values of both species. Slowly, the tension eased and an agreement was reached. The council murmured again. Some delegates, previously skeptical, began to nod, realizing the depth of human reasoning. Others were silent, unsure how to respond to evidence that contradicted centuries of prejudice. Suddenly, a simulation within a simulation appeared, a threat that was almost invisible. Rogue agents attempted to sabotage multiple colonies simultaneously, using tactics that even advanced alien fleets struggled to counter. Many delegates gasped. It was designed to overwhelm human decision-making. Elias's mind raced. He analyzed patterns, predicted outcomes, and adapted strategies in real time. He coordinated rescue missions, redirected resources, and anticipated the saboteurs' next moves. The rogue agents were stopped, colonies saved, and the council watched in astonishment. The AI spoke in his mind again, quieter this time. "Your adaptability is exceptional, human. This is the spark I have been waiting for. You act with courage, creativity, and moral judgment. The council must now see humanity differently." By the end of the simulation, every challenge had been met. Every threat had been addressed with ingenuity, courage, and careful consideration. For the first time, the Grand Court seemed to recognize the truth of what humans could accomplish. Valak, the head judge, rose and addressed the council. "It appears we have underestimated humanity. They have demonstrated not recklessness, but resourcefulness, courage, and wisdom beyond what many predicted. This council must now reconsider its position." Korlax, the shadowy judge who had been most skeptical, leaned forward, its voice quiet but firm. "I cannot deny what I have seen. Humans are different from what reports suggested. They act with unpredictability, yes, but also with precision, moral judgment, and courage. Perhaps we have judged too harshly." Elias felt a wave of relief but remained vigilant. He knew that not all skepticism had disappeared. Some delegates were cautious, waiting for any sign of weakness. But humanity had earned a moment of recognition, a chance to prove its place among the stars. The AI's voice, barely audible, echoed in his mind. "Well done, human. You have shown courage, creativity, and the ability to protect life even when it is difficult. But remember, this is only one stage of the trial. Greater challenges await, and the universe does not forgive complacency." Elias nodded silently. "I understand. Humanity will rise to every challenge." As he returned to the Grand Court, the delegates' expressions had changed. Some were thoughtful, others impressed, and a few even hopeful. Humanity had shown that it was not just a species of risk-takers. It was a species of problem-solvers, leaders, and guardians. The council convened to discuss the results. The AI's testimony, coupled with the demonstration, had shifted opinions. Humans were no longer seen as reckless outsiders. They were potential partners capable of contributing to interstellar stability and progress. Yet Elias knew the road ahead was not simple. There were still factions that distrusted humans, still dangers in the universe that could test their limits. But for the first time, humanity's potential had been recognized. As the session ended, the AI's voice whispered in Elias's mind one last time, "Remember, human, the universe watches and the trials are not over. You have shown your strength and your spirit. Now you must continue to prove that your species can stand among the stars." Elias felt a deep sense of purpose settle within him. Humanity had its first real moment of triumph, a chance to step into a larger stage, and with courage, ingenuity, and moral choice, they would rise to every challenge the universe placed before them. Outside the chamber, stars shimmered brightly against the blackness of space. For humanity, a new era was beginning, one filled with potential, responsibility, and the endless opportunities of the cosmos. And though the AI remained unseen, its guidance and observation were constant. Elias knew that as humans continued their journey, they would not be alone. Their ingenuity, courage, and capacity for moral choice would define their place among the stars, and the universe itself would take notice. The Grand Court was silent. The alien delegates sat in tense anticipation, their many eyes fixed on the human ambassador, Elias Renner. After hours of demonstrations, simulations, and testimony, the council had finally reached the moment of decision. Humanity had proven ingenuity, courage, and moral judgment. Yet some delegates remained wary, their suspicion lingering like shadows in the room. Elias stood tall, his expression calm but resolute. He knew that this moment was more than a verdict. It was a test of trust, of recognition, and of humanity's ability to claim its place among the stars. The unseen AI that had guided him watched silently, its presence felt rather than seen, a steady reassurance in the back of his mind. Balak, the crystalline head judge, rose slowly, the light within its body pulsing with each word. "The Council has observed the actions, the decisions, and the character of the human species. We have seen courage, ingenuity, moral reasoning, and adaptability. We have witnessed humans solve problems no other species could approach, to protect life and preserve balance across multiple systems." The room was tense. Some delegates nodded, impressed. Others whispered among themselves, cautious but acknowledging the evidence. A few hardened eyes remained skeptical, but even they could not deny what had been demonstrated. Elias took a deep breath. "Your Honors," he said, his voice steady, "humans do not ask for blind trust or privileges. We ask only to be judged by our actions. Today you have seen who we are. Tomorrow and every day after, humanity will continue to learn, adapt, and contribute to the galaxy. Our presence may be unpredictable, yes, but it is not reckless. We strive to understand, to protect, and to build." The AI's voice, calm and resonant, filled Elias's mind. "You have done well, human. You have shown the Council that your species is more than reports or assumptions. Yet remember, this is only the beginning. Greater challenges will come. The universe will watch. Stand strong and never forget the spark that defines your kind." Suddenly, the AI's presence projected a holographic display for the Council alone, showing centuries of human exploration, colonies founded in harsh worlds, crises averted through quick thinking, impossible engineering feats, and acts of compassion toward species in need. Every delegate could see the undeniable impact humanity had already had in the galaxy. Balak spoke again. "It appears, based on this evidence and demonstration, that humanity deserves recognition among the interstellar community. While caution remains warranted, the Council sees potential, responsibility, and strength. Humanity shall be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Alliance." A wave of astonishment passed through the room. Some delegates cheered softly, others clapped their appendages or emitted harmonic vibrations. Even the skeptical judges were forced to acknowledge the truth. Humans had not only survived the trial, they had excelled. Elias allowed himself a small smile. "Thank you, Your Honors," he said. "Humanity will not fail your trust. We will continue to prove our worth." The AI's eyes seemed to glow brighter, though no one else could see it. "They understand now, human, but this is not the end. You must continue to rise, to protect, to innovate. The Council may watch, but so does the universe itself. Stand ready." Outside the court, Elias walked through the corridors of the station. Aliens of every shape and size watched him with curiosity, respect, and some lingering caution. Some approached, offering cautious greetings, asking questions about human systems, human technology, and human perspectives. For the first time, humans were not outsiders. They were participants in an interstellar community. As he made his way to his quarters, Elias reflected on the journey. Humanity had faced skepticism, fear, and doubt. The Council had expected failure, expecting chaos and recklessness. Instead, they had seen courage, empathy, and brilliance. Humans had shown that their unpredictability was not a weakness, but a strength, the ability to adapt, innovate, and act with moral clarity. In his quarters, Elias accessed a secure communication channel to Earth. The faces of humans, scientists, explorers, politicians, and children appeared on the screen. Their expressions mirrored his own mixture of pride, relief, and hope. "Ambassador Renner," one voice said. "What happened? Did humanity succeed?" Elias smiled, keeping his tone steady and clear. "Yes, humanity has earned recognition. We have shown our potential, and the Council has seen that we are capable of responsibility and ingenuity. This is only the beginning, but the universe will now watch us differently." Cheers erupted on the screen. Humans celebrated not just victory but validation. For the first time, the species that had struggled against impossible odds on Earth and in distant colonies was recognized for its resilience, creativity, and moral judgment. As the communication ended, Elias looked out through the window at the stars stretching into infinity. Somewhere in the darkness of space, the unseen AI observed him. Its presence was quiet, almost comforting, yet filled with authority. "You have done well, human," the AI whispered in his mind. "But the trials will continue. Challenges await, far greater than what you have faced today. Humanity must remain vigilant, united, and courageous. Your choices will shape not just your species, but the galaxy itself." Elias nodded. "We will be ready." Days passed and humanity began its integration into the Galactic Alliance. Human technology, creativity, and diplomacy were put to the test. Delegates from other species began seeking humans for counsel, collaboration, and innovation. Humans shared their engineering solutions, scientific discoveries, and strategies for conflict resolution. Slowly but surely, humans became valued partners in the interstellar community. Yet for Elias, the experience was more than diplomacy. It was proof of something deeper. Humans had a spark, a combination of courage, curiosity, and empathy that no simulation or prediction could measure. This spark had carried them through centuries of hardship and into the stars, and it had finally been recognized. Late one night, Elias stood alone on the observation deck of the space station. Stars glittered like diamonds in the endless blackness. The voices of other species were silent here, replaced by the quiet hum of the station. Then softly, almost like a breeze carried across his consciousness, the familiar voice spoke again. "Are you alone, human?" Elias closed his eyes and smiled. "No," he whispered. "I am never alone. Humanity stands together, and we will face what comes." The AI's presence pulsed faintly in acknowledgement, its approval unspoken but unmistakable. The universe had tested humanity, and for the first time, humans had passed not only with skill, but with honor. The next day, as humans prepared to depart the station, ambassadors from alien species approached Elias. Some offered words of encouragement, others gifts of technology or rare resources. The message was clear: humans were no longer outsiders. They had earned their place in the galaxy. Elias looked at Earth through the communication channels, imagining the faces of every human who had helped humanity survive, explore, and innovate. From distant colonies to the homeworld, humans had proved their potential. Their unpredictability, their creativity, their courage, all had been shown as strengths, not weaknesses. And somewhere beyond the stars, the AI watched silently, waiting, always observing. It had judged humanity not by reports or predictions, but by action, ingenuity, and moral judgment. Elias knew the AI's final words were not a warning, but a promise the universe would continue to watch, and humanity's journey had only just begun. Back on the observation deck, Elias felt a quiet pride. Humanity had faced fear, skepticism, and impossible odds and had emerged stronger, wiser, and recognized. The stars stretched before them, vast and infinite, full of opportunities and challenges, and for the first time humans knew they were not alone in the universe. The voice whispered one last time. Stand ready, human. The universe watches, and your choices will shape it. Stand together and you will rise. Elias looked out at the stars, determination burning in his heart. We will, he said softly. Humanity will rise. And with that, the chapter closed on this trial of humanity. But the story of their journey among the stars had only just begun. The stars gleamed brighter than ever, silent witnesses to a new era, a future where humans would face the unknown with courage, ingenuity, and unity, earning their rightful place among the stars.